Happy Tuesday! Welcome back to my channel. This is Rubies Polished by Grace, and I have another gem for you today. First of all, I want to say, if you noticed that I did not upload any videos last week, I apologize. Thank you for understanding. I was traveling to Tennessee, visiting family, and yeah, so I'm back. I have another video. If you hear any whining or complaining, observe. This here is my Chihuahua, Princess Donovan Muffin. The more attention I give her, the more that's gonna happen. So I might just go pick her up in a second, and hopefully that will calm down. Anyways, I want to just try and get into my video really quickly. I want to talk about rocks. I have talked a little bit, I think, in my very first video about how I imagine God likens us to rocks. Personally, I like rocks. I like to collect them, all types and varieties of rocks. I have in these little thingies here on the wall, a variety of different types of rocks that I collect that sit in this little thingy. This one, I grabbed this one because it's cool and interesting. It's little paws. Just a variety of different rocks. So I collect them because I think they're cool. This one, I don't even know what kind of rocks they are, what they're called. I could probably look them up and know. I actually think I do know. This one is Bumblebee Jasper. So I just like them. I think they're cool. Who almost threw one on the ground? Anyways, so I wasn't trying to be all about the rocks. I just think they're cool. And I think that God imagines us to be like rocks. That our individual characteristics and qualities, how he created us with those unique individual characteristics and qualities. He likes to collect, essentially people, I guess. He considers us part of his collection, because he created us. So anyway, I want to talk about rocks a little bit and what the purpose of God's creating rocks are and how that sort of like mirrors us. So I want to go over a few scriptures really quickly. So one of the scriptures that I want to talk about can be found in Matthew chapter 16, verse 17. It says, and this is speaking to Jesus and Peter. It says, "And Jesus replied, 'You are blessed, Simon, son of John, because my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being.'" He's speaking about Peter understanding that Jesus is the Messiah, that Peter had just proclaimed to Jesus that Jesus was the Messiah from Peter's understanding. And so Peter responds to him by saying this. That you are blessed, Simon, son of John, because the Father in heaven revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being. Now I say to you that you are Peter, which means rock. And upon this rock I will build my church, and all of the powers of hell will not conquer it, and I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. For whatever you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven, and whatever you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. And so here Jesus says to Peter, initially he calls him Simon, and then after he has the revelation of Jesus being the Messiah, then Jesus begins to call him Peter, which means rock. And that's what it says in the text. Also in Exodus 28, there's a description of the chest piece, or the, I believe it's pronounced ephod, that the high priest would wear when he went into the holy place to present the sacrifice for the Israelites. On that chest piece, there were 12 stones, one to represent each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And each one of them are named for which type of stone it should be within each placement. So like, for example, the first row is like carnelian, topaz, emerald. And so those are specifically called out by name. And so I think that goes to signify that God likens us to a rock. That's why he used a rock to signify within the tribe what each one meant by characteristics or qualities within the tribe. Also, where Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees in Luke, we can see the Pharisees are complaining that people in the city of Jerusalem on the day of crucifixion are chanting and shouting basically triumphant praise to Jesus in the city, and the Pharisees are upset about it. And so they tell him to silence them and to rebuke his disciples. And Jesus responds by saying to them, I tell you that if these should keep quiet, the stones would immediately cry out. Now, in this situation, stones are referred to generally, it's not referred to as something specific as it is in Exodus. However, we can see that what I believe is essentially Jesus is saying the stones were created to worship me. And if my people don't praise me, then the stones would do that in their place. So I think kind of indicates that people and stones were created by God for the purpose of worshiping him. But, you know, I can't necessarily say what God created rocks for. What did he create various types of stones for? What does the rock do? What purpose does it hold, or what value does it hold? I think its value is kind of dependent on the characteristics, and it might hold little or great value depending on what those characteristics are. Sorry, I'm just kind of trying to read my notes and make sure that I go over all of what I want to convey from this message, because I know that it's something that God's really been working to try and download to me for a while. And so when I take notes about all of it, then I'm able to, I guess, translate it. So anyways, so all of rocks, like you and me, are part of God's creation. God created all of the rocks, just like he created you and me. What did he create each rock for? What was his intended purpose of creating rocks? I think it's kind of silly to ask this question, like, why did God create me? Why did he create you? What was his purpose in creating these things? Personally, I would like to be used like a rock, like an implement or a tool that God would use for his own glory, like simply as the Stone of David, to just hurl at a giant and take it down. So, you know, like I said, rocks or stones, I think, or people, how valuable they are is kind of variable based on the environment that they're placed in. So, you know, there's that. You wouldn't necessarily use, but I mean, by mere observation, a rock doesn't do anything. So like a slab of granite, you wouldn't use a slab of granite to wear on your finger. And the same way you wouldn't build large structures with a diamond. Different types of rocks and stones have different purposes. So sometimes if they are used out of context of how you might imagine these various types of rocks to be used, for example, rocks that might be used in jewelry, you wouldn't necessarily use for building, and vice versa. So if that's what you're using them for, it's likely that they are they're being misused. So personally, in the last few years, I've noticed that God had a specific and intended purpose for me when he created me. And I think I can kind of see that in the pages of scripture, especially Exodus, where I see the unique characteristics of each rock and each tribe, and then my own individual attributes, and I kind of find value there. And God knows my greatest value or my greatest purpose. He created me. So for him to be able to use me as an implement in whatever environment that he has placed me in, you know, people sometimes misuse or mistreat us. I know that I have had situations, a lot of different situations, whether it's like family situations, romantic situations, work situations, where I have been misused or mistreated by people, and it left me hurt and damaged to some extent. So a lot of times people might misuse or mistreat us. So again, it goes similarly to, some things might be created by God for the purpose of the placement, for example, like something that's created for decor, like a candle that adds ambiance and fragrance to the room. This is not something that you would use to work on your car. If that's what you're using a candle for, you obviously misunderstand the use of it. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that sometimes people want to use us separately or outside of how God intended us to be used when he created us. So I don't know if that makes sense, but just understand your purpose and hold your own value in how God created you with a purpose for his own goodwill and his own plan and placement, and don't allow people that are around you to kind of dictate your self-worth based on how they may mishandle you in whatever environments that you're placed in, and understand that you have value and significance and purpose in whatever environment that you're placed in, because you were created by God and he loves you, and he has a plan for you. If that makes sense. I'm going to talk about rocks a lot, so maybe not every single week, but that's my message for this week. It's kind of about how God sees you like a rock, and he created every single individual type of rock with a purpose, and he created you with a purpose too. You just have to seek him out and find out what that purpose is. So I don't know. It's just my interpretation. So bye, love you. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye.